So let's return to, as an example, this reductionist materialist view that consciousness is simply neural processes in the neocortex. It's so consciousness is the brain. It can be reduced to physical stuff, physical matter. So let's now look at bring in experience. So we know that the baby is born, the infant is born with uh, a certain number of neurons, and at full maturity, there's about 100 billion neurons that grow. So that's the standard set for humans, right? But what happens from birth and for the first uh, 3 years or more. I'm not a scientist, so I don't memorize these figures, but there's a burst of neural growth. In other words, connections are formed several 100,000 per minute from the first couple of years and on, and they continue to grow until we're mature, and we have a full established set of neurons. We leave childhood and we have these connections that have been made. The connections themselves are what we can refer to as knowledge, and those connections that are made between the neurons, they connect in certain ways, allow us for our senses of sight, of hearing, of smell, and all those things. Those have been connected and formed through early childhood. And then we have knowledge itself that comes in the form of experience. So experience, we have this structure of neural structure that we're born with, but then what happens, that's determined genetically, but then what happens is experience itself, experience in the world, creates the structure of the brain, then continues to create and form the connections between the neurons in the brain. And this is what we know of as knowledge. Right? So everything we know and everything we are is based upon our experiences in the world to a certain extent. Because experience in the world changes and builds the structure of the physical brain. Right? And these patterns are established through time, through socialization, through our early childhood experiences with parents, through the socialization in school. These are all changes to the neural pathways of the brain, the neural patterns in the network. So the scientist that says that, the reductionist would say that it's the consciousness is the brain, but he's leaving off experience. Experience, like anything else in nature, environment shapes the structure of the physical organism. This is what we call evolution. It's the environment from the time when there was only molten rock and then oceans and then the first bacteria. It was the environment, the chemicals in the environment, that created the structure of the organism. That confluence of elements, of energy, chemical compounds, minerals, organic compounds, organic molecules, biomolecules, let's say, oxygen, carbon, right? Nitrogen, these elements combining with energy to form life. So the organism, and then from there on, through a process of evolution, here we are. So it's always the environment that shapes the organism. And we know that environment and experience will shape and reshape and turn on and off gene sequences. So it's through experience with the environment, through evolution, that generates the genome, the genetic material, right? So to say that consciousness is just the brain is completely false in this regard, because it's leaving off the whole element of evolutionary adaptation, restructuring, and structuring of the brain through interaction with the environment, right? Because we humans only started to get really smart when we started to get fine motor skills and start to pick up things from the earth and craft tools with them, which started this whole pattern of interaction with the environment and becoming more dexterous and agile and building and structuring things that provided then enhanced structure of the brain. So we see consciousness is much more than it seems. Of course, we can't have consciousness without a body. We can't have consciousness without a nervous system. We can't have consciousnness without eyes and ears and senses, right? We can't have consciousness without a brain. But consciousness is not any one of these things. Consciousness is something greater than the sum of its parts, and it's an emergence. Just like when I asked you, what are you? And you said, I'm all these things. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, I'm a father, I'm a mother, I'm a patriot, I'm an American, I'm a this or that. Yes, though, that's what you are, but they're only parts of what you are. They're experiences that you've had in consciousness. In fact, they're thoughts that take place within consciousness. So everything that's happening in this world really is taking place within consciousness. Because what we see out there is recreated in an internal model within the cortices of the brain. So we literally see with the mind's eye. It's represented in an internal image. So we could take this even further when we say that I am an American, let's say. And what I know and what I am is what I've learned from my culture. It's all that history and memory, all that conditioning, all that education, right? This environment that I live and move and work in and thrive in. This is all part of what I am. This is the essence of what I am. My culture. But what if you had people, and we have people, that have total amnesia and they don't remember anything? They still have language, but they can't bring to conscious. Perhaps the memories are there, and they are in the deeper parts of the brain, but they're not conscious. They can't be brought to conscious. So they have amnesia. They've forgotten everything. Who they are, where they came from, what their name is, who their family was. Yet, there still is this very real sense of being in the world. I am. I know I'm here right now. I know that I am. I know that I am. No one could deny that. Or if let's say we take an Aboriginal person who's never had contact with modern humanity, never seen a white man, right? He lived in the bush like a Stone Age person, and we take him and we drop him in New York City. Everything he knows will be completely destroyed. Everything he knows about reality, about the nature of reality and existence and his place in the world has been entirely destroyed, obliterated. He's in the middle of New York City. Anything he's known, all his memory, his sense of identity, of being in the world and moving through the world, and all history of his people has been entirely useless to him now. But yet, he still has a very strong sense of what it's like right now for me to be in the world. So, consciousness is that which experiences pass through. They come and they go. But consciousness never goes anywhere. Consciousness is not my memories and my thoughts. Those take place in consciousness. But when a thought comes and then it goes, it doesn't take a part of me with it. And when a new thought comes, it doesn't add something new to consciousness or what I am. It just passes through. If we imagine the last example, if we take someone on a family and put them, 1,000 people, and put them, the earth is going to be destroyed, let's say, and we know it, so we have to travel to develop a spaceship that will carry us to another planet, carry us to a place of salvation. And we take 1,000 people, we put them in that ship, and the parents do as much as they can to teach their young children about their culture and to preserve the beauty of their culture and what it was once like, what it's like, and all the fabulous science that we have, and the nature and the beauty and the society and the social systems and the institutions and these wonderful aspects of civilization. And then our children teach their children the same thing. Preserve these memories. By the third generation, it'll all be myths and fairy tales. In other words, their reality will be limited to a tiny castle flying through deadly space. And the whole system of culture, the whole reality will be completely replaced by a new one. About the contingencies and new laws and rule to survive in peril, and to survive with all the strict laws and regulations that require us to obey to maintain our existence. Who knows what will arise in a situation like that? But it will be absolutely nothing like the culture of the old earth. Will be like a myth, a fairy tale, a myth. It will be completely meaningless to those people. By the time the third generation, the great grandchildren, it'll just be a story. This isn't the new reality. So we see that experience can change drastically, but yet that's still presence. That's still presence of I am that hasn't changed. That conscious experiencer of everything that's taking place. And then once they finally find a place, they survive, and they're open to a entirely new world. Entirely new. They won't know nothing about it. Everything will begin again.